Hello, hello. My name is Serge. I buy and test board games so that you don't have to waste your time and money. Today we'll take a closer look at Can't Stop. This game is getting a red rating from me, which means two things. The first one, that it is leaving my collection, and the second one is that no, I do not recommend it for you. To understand why, we will have to go back in history. Okay, so here's our timeline. 1980. That's the year when Can't Stop was released. It had a great success at the time of release and was very popular. 1980 is the same year I was born. By my teens, I found love to board games, but at that time I had just 4 board games. It was chess, checkers, cards, and Monopoly. And by the way, Monopoly is a terrible game that should never be played again. But at that time we didn't have much choice, so we had to play that game. In 1993, the video game Aladdin was released. Let's check the graphics. Very simple design, but at that time it was revolutionary. It was an awesome game. By 2000s, the popularity of video games was exploding. The quality was going up and up and up, and at that time, many felt that it was the end of board games because everyone would switch to playing video games. Luckily, it was not true. Let's take a look at Google Trends with the 2 search terms. Board games will be in blue and video games are in red. And we're tracking those 2 terms since 2004. As we can see, since that time, video games lost half of their popularity, while board games doubled. My prediction is that soon enough they will meet and then board games will be more popular as a search term in Google. And this trend is also supported by the next chart. This is number of games published by year. And here we have a graph from 1980 all the way until 2020. And as we can see here, by now over 5,000 new board games are published every year, and the number keeps growing. In 2022, Can't Stop decided to create a new and updated edition. The new version of Can't Stop has a neoprene mat and wooden markers instead of a plastic board and cones. Let's take a closer look at those upgraded components. Neoprene mat. It is rolled, which means that if you take it out of the box and you put on your table, it does not lie flat. It bends in some areas, which could be fine if they had the old markers, but they upgraded those too. And now we have wooden markers that don't sit on this bent mat and they can easily slide off the play area. Now, the new wooden markers are terrible. They are very tiny, which means that it is extremely difficult to pick your marker amongst all other markers. When you do so, you inevitably move everything around. In the older versions of the game, they had cones, which meant that you could easily pick it up and move on the board. Also, the board had indents, which meant that those cones were not moving anywhere. My other complaint with the design is that there are no numbers at the bottom. It is very easy to put your marker in the wrong column. Happened to us multiple times. And we know that they can do better. Just look at this pretty design with numbers at the bottom and the different colors for different numbers. Just think about this. The whole industry, both video games and board games, are working on improving the design of their games, and we can see it. Can't Stop team gathered together and said, hey, how can we make the design worse? And they succeeded. The new 2022 edition design is worse than the original. Well done. And the design is my minor complaint. My major one is the waiting time. It is very, very long. Back in the day, when I had just 4 games, it was fine. I could wait. Today, when we have hundreds or even thousands of different games, and when the attention span is much shorter than in my childhood, the requirements for the games changed. They need to be fast-paced, and the action should move. In Can't Stop, you have nothing to do while you're waiting for your next turn. I guarantee that you will be doing like this as a best case scenario, but what is most likely to happen is that you will do like this. People will be checking their phones while waiting for their next turn, and I don't believe this is a good game design that allows this to happen. Having said all that, there is one thing that I do love about this game. Yes, it is your push your luck, which means that there is a lot of randomness, but you have agency. You can select which pairs of dice you will go with, which means that you can build strategies around it. And they do work. I love it. And this gives me hope for the future. I do want this game to succeed. There are 3 things that need to happen. The first one, they need to introduce simultaneous play that there is no waiting time. Second, the components should be better. And the third one, they need to come up with some theme. Modern games need to have all those 3. And at that time, I will buy the upgraded version of this game. But for now, Can't Stop has to go. If you are still watching, thank you so much. Do you agree with my comments or disagree? Please let me know in the comments. Are there any other push your luck games that you like? Let's discuss. Thanks again, see you next time.